Welcome to First Time Caregiver Confessions. I'm your host, Cami. This is a space for every first time caregiver trying to figure it all out, from managing the overwhelm to finding the little moments of calm in the chaos. Each week, we'll unpack real stories, practical tips, real confessions, and a few honest laughs about what it's really like to step into caregiving for the first time. So take a deep breath. You're in good company. Let's get into today's confession. Hey guys, welcome to the last episode in season 1 of Caregiver Confessions. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for being on this journey with me. If this has happened to be your first time listening, welcome. So today, let's just get right into it. What caregiving has taught me about caring for family and self-love. This is our last episode of season 1. Oh my goodness. So, lessons I've learned. I spoke about on my first episode the day my life changed forever and accepting that, okay, this is just going to be a new type of normal. That's one lesson I learned. Another lesson I've learned is juggling caregiving responsibilities and being a wife and juggling, my, duties or responsibilities as a wife and partner in my marriage. That's a challenge too. I'm blessed that I have a husband that's understanding, but I also have learned that by my husband watching, going through my experience with my sister D and I caring for our ailing father is eye-opening for him, because for him, he knows and foresees the potential that could be the same for him when it comes to caring for his aging parent. That's a possibility. So that's another lesson I've learned. Another lesson was working with, your siblings, or in my case, my sister, in caregiving. Teamwork makes the dream work. It definitely helps. I know she's attested many times, like, Cami, I'm so glad. What would I do without you? And likewise for her, I can't imagine doing this without her. And I kudos to her because she actually lives with my father. So shout out to you, D. I love you. And I don't know what we would do without your help, but we're in this together. So also, another thing I've learned is managing caregiving and marriage. It takes balance. And I've learned that with sharing what's going on with my father, with my spouse, not to share excessively. And what I mean by that is share what's necessary and not too much, because it can be quite overwhelming. Also, another thing I've learned in this journey is when it comes to managing feelings of guilt, like you feel like you need to do more, but we can only do the best we can. And another big topic of contention that everyone can relate, especially everyone listening, is caregiving burnout and self-care. I feel like it's the big elephant in the room, aside from, caring from your parent or your loved one, is what about me? What about me? I need care too. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned is, you can't pour from an empty cup. So you have to take out time to care for yourself. You have to treat it like it's a medical appointment for your parent. Like it has to be done. Another lesson I've learned is when parents, when they're getting resistant, when they get resistant to getting help. That's another thing I've learned. They are once a man, twice a child, and they're not always going to be operating with common sense and practicality. They will be throwing tantrums sometimes or give you an attitude. So know that you may be able, you may expect that, but that's another lesson I've learned. At the same time, I've learned that you have to be your parents' own best health advocate, because if you're not their health advocate, no one will be. Also, find support resources like for yourself as a caregiver, like respite care, community groups, social groups, family, friends that'll support you. Also, this helps maintain, your sense of self an identity when you pour back into yourself. Remember, with this caregiving journey, one of the things I've learned a lot, especially in one of my most recent episodes, is you got to maintain who your identity is and who you used to be. Get back to who you used to be, because this caregiving journey can take everything and be all overwhelming and all consuming if you allow it to be. So you have to start small, because I know it's easier said than done, but start small with ways to pour back into yourself and get back to the person you used to be in small ways, little bit at a time. Another thing I have learned is prepare for the future. I talked about this in one of my last episodes, is preparing for the future emotionally and practically. You know, our daily life changes and nothing stays the same. Life is unexpected, but get your paperwork in order. Find out, what your parents' final wishes are. Find out what their life transition. Do they want cremation? Do they want a funeral? One thing I will say that I've learned that my parents, my mom and my father, but both of them prepared us our entire life, was they would always repeatedly say, one day we won't be here and you and your sister will only have each other. So emotionally wise, we are definitely prepared that way, because we know they won't live forever. Well, my mom has passed, but my father, he won't live forever. But we're mentally strong that way. But it's the caregiving journey, in this road, this journey. We don't know where it's going to take us, but we just have to do the best we can daily with the information we have in the moment and support each other and be there for each other. So I think the biggest takeaways in my journey thus far is, one, caregiving is one of the hardest things you'll ever do, and the lessons learned along the way will be invaluable. And I hope by sharing my experience in season 1 of this podcast, that sharing some of my experiences resonated with you guys and either gave you some encouragement, some good ideas to use, or tips, or just make you feel validated in your feelings, like, she gets what I'm going through. Another takeaway I've learned this journey so far is, this journey in caregiving is a lesson in care, a lesson in love, but it's also a lesson in boundaries and growth and resourcefulness and so much more. Caregiving redefines what love looks like in daily acts of love and care. And I've learned that caring for a parent that is chronically ill is a reminder to take care of your younger self now. This is the biggest thing I'm learning going through this journey. So, seeing how my dad lives with chronic conditions, not thriving, makes me, where I'm in my 40s, want to take care of myself now, take better care of myself, practice self-care, make an appointment just to do something for myself. Eat clean. When I say eat clean, eat more things that are coming from the earth naturally that are processed or heavy meat consumption. But that's just me. I know everyone's different. Getting in movement, exercise with weights, dumbbells. I know that's important, especially for women. Or just in general, anyone over the age, I think it's over 35, you lose muscle mass. I don't know if it's 1 pound a year or half a pound a year, but I know we start to lose muscle mass as we get older. So, and also just getting sunshine, getting outside, doing these things, to small ways to constantly keep movement and activity in their life and thrive. I think doing this now when our younger self, our older self, will thank us for us down the line. And you have more control over how your senior years will be by making the right choices today. And another thing that I've taken away is there are 2 types of seniors. There are active seniors, and then there's seniors that are just existing. So which one do you want to be? That's what I've learned. And I'm sure by taking care of your parent or loved one, you've asked yourself that question, like, do I want to end up like them, or do I want to be in a better position than what they are right now? And lastly, as a first-time caregiver, remember you are doing the best you can with the knowledge and information that you have in this present moment. Give yourself some grace. Remember to carve out time for yourself because you cannot pour from an empty cup. So, on that note, I want to thank you so much for taking this journey with me in season 1 of this podcast. Thank you so much for listening to the First Time Caregiver Confessions. And if this was your first time listening, go back and take a listen at some of the other episodes featured this season. I covered many of the topics in my life, lessons learned. I covered each of those in my episodes in this season. So if today's episode helped you feel seen and supported, please take a second to follow the show and share it with another caregiver who could use a little encouragement. You can also connect with me on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts, to keep the conversation going. Until next time, guys, take care of yourself and remember you're doing better than you think. And I'll see you next time soon in season 2.